Hey guys, I am finally back. I took a break. I actually tried to record a video a few days ago and I kept getting cut off. I actually need to go back and look at it and see if I can use it. But today I want to talk to you guys about my scripting success stories. I have two success stories. So the first was I was going into a discussion, a very sensitive discussion with a friend, and I wanted it to go a certain way. And I wasn't feeling very good about it. And I think I've mentioned to you guys in other videos that for me, visualization is a lot more difficult than just journaling and writing things out. So my main method of manifestation has become to write out the stories. So the reason why I want to talk about these two particular scripting successes is because in both situations, I was not feeling good about the situation. I wasn't even really feeling good while I was writing out the scripting, but these things still manifested perfectly for me. And I'm honestly still dissecting why that is, because my assumption before now was that I had to feel really good when I was writing it out. Maybe what happened was I believed in the scripting so much that I didn't need to feel good. I just believed that whatever it was that I was writing was going to happen. I don't know. So the first situation, I wrote out how I wanted the conversation to go. It was very short, maybe like 5 sentences. I said things went a lot better than I expected. And I even wrote details like after we finished the conversation, we went and found this new restaurant that we love. We had a fun day together. Things that were not planned. All we planned to do was have this discussion. And so that's what happened. And while it was happening, I wasn't aware of what I had written down. I wasn't thinking about the fact that I had scripted out how I wanted things to go. But after everything was over and I came home and I was doing my journaling for that night, I went back and read what I had written, and everything happened exactly as I wrote it. So, because of my success with that first difficult situation that I was coming up to, I decided to use scripting for another difficult situation, and this one I can be more specific about. My family was fighting over the gravestone of my grandmother. And my grandmother means a lot to all of us, but since she passed away, and I know a lot of people can relate, she was the matriarch of our family. And so things haven't quite been the same since she passed. The family doesn't communicate as well as it used to, because we used to just rely on her to make the executive decisions. Now there's a lot of contention and disagreement. So she hasn't had a headstone on her grave in a decade. And I didn't know, because I don't visit graves. I don't do hospitals unless I absolutely have to, and I don't do grave sites because I like to remember people at their best. So I avoid funerals, all those things. Anyway, there was all kinds of gossip going on in the family, and I'm one of the black sheep in my family because I'm very different from a lot of my family members. I've never really felt accepted by my family, so I wasn't aware. Nobody was communicating to me that all the stuff was going on behind the scenes that was delaying my family purchasing a gravestone for my grandmother. So since nobody likes me anyway, I don't mind being the mean one or the one to say, look, this is what we're going to do. And so I called a family meeting. I didn't know who would show up. I didn't know how it was going to go. A lot of the gossip centered around my mom and some trust issues that her siblings had with her from years and years ago. So I was very anxious about how it was going to go. And so I had an attitude the whole week coming up to it. And I decided, okay, I knew I was going to script about it, but I procrastinated even on that until the morning of. And so I'm sitting there feeling anxious about it, getting prepared to go out there, get in front of my family. I didn't know how many of them were going to show up. I didn't know if we were going to be able to come to agreement. And we had to raise a significant amount of money in order to pay for this headstone. We had to organize it. The problem had been in the past that nobody wanted to pay their part, and my mom was the one collecting the money, and nobody could figure out why. They would say, oh yeah, I'm going to pay, and then never pay. And so we would have these family meetings, and the topic would come up, and people would say, oh yeah, I'm going to do it, and never do it. So I was like, I got to sort this out once and for all. So I had to, coming up to the meeting, I had to make all these individual phone calls to family members and talk through things with them and clear things up and go back and forth. It was just super stressful, but it was part of a journey that I'm taking to really see the importance of how people feel about situations and how emotions play into things, and how even if you don't agree with someone's point of view, you've got to figure out a way to make things work, because we as human beings are built for relationships. So anyway, it's the day of. I take out my journal begrudgingly, and I'm like, how do I even want this to go? Like, I hadn't even thought about it positively. And I wrote something very ambitious. I said, and this is, my family is huge. My mom has 7 siblings. They all have children, all my cousins, and we have been texting. Anyway, I said, the family meeting was very productive. We got so much done. We covered so many topics. We raised all the money. This was the ambitious part, because I was just like, whatever. We're going to see if this scripting thing works. And I said, we raised all the money for the headstone. And I said, I'm so happy with the outcome, or something to that effect. I wish I had recorded this closer to when I wrote it so I could tell you exactly what I wrote. But that was the gist of it. We were productive. We raised all the money in one day, and I'm happy with the outcome. So I'm anxious still going to this meeting. It's an hour drive. I get there. Most of the family members are not there. Okay, so I run through minutes. I'm very direct about all of the gossiping and all the backbiting and all of that stuff that's been going on. Everybody's quiet at first. I don't know what to expect. And then it just starts rolling. Like rolling. No arguing, no nothing. We got volunteers. We're going to start a new family reunion. We're planning a family trip. We got people to take over officer positions for these family meetings. We came up with a more routine schedule. Super productive. We got everything sorted out. A decision about the company we were going to use for the headstone and who was going to lead the effort. And again, while everything is playing out, I'm not thinking about what I've written, and so I'm just trying to get through it. And after it's over, I'm just ready to go home. So my family likes to party. They had turned on music, got out beers, and they were having a good time. It was hot. I was ready to go. So I left. And I drove past my aunt's house, which is right down the street, and some of my cousins had gone there, and they waved me down. They were like, stop. I was like, y'all, I really got to get back to my side of town. They were like, just come in just for a few minutes. So I go in, and we start talking about money that's been collected so far, because some people gave money for the headstone at the meeting, and then we had collected some donations during that week of the back and forth. I had created a PayPal, but we were still short, like, almost $600. And so several people had not responded. And in those few minutes that I decided to stop and talk to my cousins, just from our little conversation, we reached out to, I think, 3 of our cousins who weren't at the meeting and collected the rest of the money. So we had all the money that same day. After 10 years of my family not being able to come together and organize it, we had all the money. Again, still, I'm not connecting this to my scripting. I'm just like, wow, I'm just in amazement. Like, whoa, yay, finally, grandma, is no longer turning over in her grave because her family can't get it together. And I go home. And again, I'm journaling that night, and I turned to my entry, and I was in disbelief. Like, everything I wrote down happened exactly as I wrote it. And I had a stank attitude while I was writing it. So immediately I called my manifestation buddy, my brother, and I was like, bro, I told him about both scripting successes. And again, the reason why these are so interesting to me is because I did not have a good attitude. I did not try to convince myself to believe what I was writing as I was writing it. And it happened exactly as I wrote it. And I didn't spend time, I didn't meditate before I wrote these scripts out. Nothing. I just sat down with my little attitude in my meditation chair and took 10 minutes each time. So I'm going to try to repeat this experiment, but I just wanted to share with you guys, like, literally everything that I wrote, same day, both times, happened just as I wrote it. Scripting is the way for me. If you find that you are having trouble visualizing, that you can't really picture things in detail, try scripting. Especially if you're someone who's always journaled or someone who likes to write. Try it out. That's it, guys. If you want to connect with me, check me out at my website, coachingconsciouscreators.com. I'm also on Instagram and all that good stuff. and I will put all those details in my show notes as usual, and I will catch you guys next time. Happy manifesting.